Welcome to the Great Canadian Comeback, where we break down the stories, trends, and shifts happening across Canada and the moves people are making to stay ahead of what's coming next. Welcome to another episode of the Great Canadian Comeback. So, in today's podcast, we're going to be doing something special. So, we're going to be doing this weekly where we're going to be taking questions from our viewers and answering what questions that you guys have. I know there's a lot of questions out there in terms of where the marketplace is at, what's happening in the economy, whether or not Canada is actually making a comeback, or are we going the opposite direction? So there's a lot of questions out there, a lot of hesitancy, and just looking for some clarification and looking for a little bit of guidance. So what we've done is we got something set up. We'll put it also out there in different formats and stuff like that, so for you guys to submit your questions so that we can answer them, so my team can put those together and that we can go through them, answer them together, and see what the concerns are out there in the marketplace, and let's see what we could possibly do. So let's jump right in and jump into the first question that we have here, and hopefully it is all ready to go. So let's listen in.
Kevin, do you think now is actually a good time to buy real estate in Canada, or should people wait another year to see what happens with the market?
Okay, so is right now a good time to buy real estate in Canada, or should you be waiting a year and seeing where things are at? Well, out here in Vancouver, and I know in Toronto as well, and some of the major cities, right now is probably a great time to be buying real estate. Basically, what happened is during COVID, they printed a ton of money and interest rates were really low. So people were borrowing money for next to nothing, and prices really skyrocketed. And during 21 and the tail beginning of 22, prices were peaking, and all those prices that were so high became started coming down substantially. So we saw a massive slide in terms of prices basically over the course of the last 3 years. So the tail end of 22, probably 2023 and onwards, we saw a reduction in a lot of real estate prices and all sorts of demographics. So we saw that specifically mostly concentrated in the condo and townhouse marketplaces because of the supply that hit the market. There was a lot of product out there, so those areas got significantly hit. But we also saw that on residential single family. We saw that in development properties. So basically, almost all real estate across the board got hit pretty hard, and prices slid over the last 3 years. So right now we're in the summer of 2026, and we've seen a lot of stabilization, in particularly in certain segments of the market. So, for example, in Vancouver, on the single family home side, we've seen prices kind of stabilize. And June was the first month that they saw prices actually stabilize and activity pick up 10%. So, if we're seeing signs of recovery, signs of stabilization, and some activity starting to happen, I think right now is a great time to get into real estate and pick up a product, because if things are stabilizing right now, what's going to happen around the corner? Well, if we saw 3 years of about a lot of sliding, a lot of reduction in prices, a lot of downturn and a down pressure, I think over the next little bit, we're going to see some stabilization. And then as things open up, what they're going to do maybe with interest rates, well, if they cut some of these like foreign buyer taxes, if they cut some other taxes or some other policies in place that are stopping people to invest in real estate, like they got the flip tax out here in Vancouver. Once they start getting rid of some of these regulations, and if the banks are, loosen up some of their lending criteria so people can get mortgages a lot easily, it will really change the marketplace. And when things change, all of a sudden they change quite quickly. So if you're looking to get into the marketplace, I think right now is a good time. rather than waiting a year. If this was last year, I would say something different. I'd be like, well, last year still there was a lot of pressure in place, and things looked really different out there in the marketplace. But right now, I think is a great time to be getting in, because by the time next year, who knows where prices is going to be at. They could be significantly higher. They could be flatlined. I don't know if they're going to be any lower, but again, I don't have a crystal ball. But I think right now would be a good time to be getting into the marketplace. So I hope I answered that question that you had. Let's jump into the next one.
With all the talk about tariffs, government spending, and inflation, where do you think Canada will be economically over the next 5 years?
Okay, so yeah, with all the talk right now, especially in politics with the tariffs, and a lot of things that are happening, where can Canada be positioned in the next 5 years? Well, here's the thing: there's a lot of political, things that are happening, especially with the U.S. A lot of tariffs are coming into play with Canada. Right now, this summer is basically they're trying to put the deal together with the new NAFTA agreement. It's up for renewal, so there's a lot of things that are coming into play, and they're trying to negotiate a good contract. The U.S. wants obviously something favorable for them. Canada will need something favorable for them as well. So when negotiations happen, these are some of the tactics that are taking place. So which is some of the tariffs and some of the downward pressure. It's like anything in any negotiation. Even when we're putting offers out there in real estate, there's one party that's looking for the best advantage in the deal. But again, when a seller and a buyer come together, they agree on somewhere in the middle where they can make that happen. And I think that's something similar that's taking place between Canada and the U.S. And the tariffs are one of the things that are in play that are going to be something that they have to figure out. So with that being said, what's going to kind of happen over the next 5 years? Well, once the tariff stuff is sorted out and put to the side, hopefully over the next, I'd say 3 to 6 months, that should be done. Definitely by the end of this year, I think a deal should be in place, and hopefully the tariffs can be managed. And once that's handled, there's going to be inflation that we're hopefully getting under control over the next 5 years. Canada is heavily investing in their own resources, own natural resources. We're making a lot of deals around the world to sell like our natural resources like oil and the LNG and things like that, not necessarily only to the US. So we're trying to diversify, find other buyers for our products. But what I see over the next 5 years, I definitely see Canada making some substantial moves. A lot of exciting stuff should be coming to the marketplace. Canada will be positioned a lot stronger because they saw what the mistakes that they've made over the, I'd say probably like 5 to 10 years, some of the things that they've done wrong in terms of policy, immigration policy, things like that. So they're going to try to rectify that, make all these changes so that everything looks a lot better and we can make some changes moving forward in the right direction. So that's kind of where I see things going in the next little bit. Um, I hope I answered that question and you guys kind of understand where I'm coming from. So let's jump into the next one so we can see what we got in store.
With all the talk about
Oh,
tariffs,
that's one we just actually did.
Kevin, are we witnessing the beginning of a great Canadian comeback, or are Canadians becoming too optimistic about the future? Kevin, are we witnessing the beginning of a great Canadian comeback, or are Canadians becoming too optimistic about the future?
I believe that we are witnessing a great Canadian comeback. I think there's a lot of excitement to be in place if you are a Canadian. There's a lot of great things that are going to be happening over the next little bit. Definitely, you're going to see a lot of investment coming back into Canada. There's a lot of excitement around like data centers and things like that. We got a ton of land in Canada, and it's really cold. So that works quite favorably for building things like AI data centers because it requires a lot of energy to cool those computers. So, from my understanding and from what I've heard from other investors and economists, is there's going to be some investments coming in place with a lot of AI data centers being placed in northern parts of Canada, building some infrastructure around there to help, you know, help this whole AI movement that's happening and just blowing through all sectors of the industry. So that's exciting for Canada because not only do we have a ton of land where we can place some of these centers, we also have a ton of power as well. So we can use hydropower, we can use a lot of the oil that we have, we can use the natural gas. So we are abundant in resources, and with that, it's going to be coming a lot of investment into the country. So I think, and not only myself, but a lot of other economists and a lot of, I think, the sentiment around the world is Canada is making a comeback. And if they're changing a lot of the rules and regulations to allow capital to flow back into Canada, it is going to be a big deal because it's going to help our economy. It's going to help everyone in all different sectors of the economy. It's going to help real estate. It's going to help finance. There'll be a lot of businesses coming back in, and it should be some really exciting times. So that's where I think things are heading with Canada. Let's jump into the next one. Let's see what we got.
If you had $100,000 to invest today and wanted to build wealth over the next decade, would you put it into real estate, stocks, a business, or something else?
Okay, so if I had $100,000 right now and I was looking to invest it, where would the best area be to invest? Would it be real estate, stocks, business? What would bring the best return? Okay, well, me being in real estate, I'm a little bit biased. I would say real estate. However, I would spin it in this way. I'd invest that $100,000 in a real estate business. So, what exactly does that mean? It means basically building a real estate business where you're actually doing active, either buying, fixing properties up and flipping them, or doing some sort of lead generation, helping others like generate some leads so that you can find homeowners that are looking to sell, maybe take a middleman fee. There's a lot of different ways to make money in real estate. And if you attach the business side to it, then you can open up a whole different avenue of things. So you can be doing a lot of different aspects to help and make money in real estate. Not only would it be just the actual real estate products, such as a house, a condo, or a townhouse, or whatever it may be. You can also like even joint venture with others. Like some people are actually finding the deals, but they don't have the capital. And if you have $100,000, you can probably get some like private money, so you can help with the financing of deals. So there's a lot of different ways you can do it. But I would think with that $100,000, definitely invest some way or another in real estate and a real estate business. And going down that route, you'll definitely need to educate yourself to understand what the best vehicles would be to be investing in real estate, what the best I think like ways to go about doing it is. Can you make the maximum amount of money? Should you be investing in what type of like a rental property or a fix and flip, or some sort of development? There's a lot of different avenues that you can be investing in. However, if you use that $100,000 to kind of figure out what type of real estate product you want to go in, and what type of real estate business you want to do, you'll start to learn and understand what's out there and what you could possibly do. And with that, you'll be able to gauge, okay, so I can do this, that, and the other with this $100,000, and you can figure out what would be best for you to do, what kind of suits your personality, and what kind of returns you're looking for on that $100,000. And it can be quite exciting because now all of a sudden you have this $100,000, and maybe you started a real estate lead generation business that got you off the ground with about a $10,000 investment. And now all of a sudden you're talking to a bunch of homeowners, and now you got one or two deals, and you can middleman some of those deals and collect a fee, or you can like all of a sudden pick up one of these deals yourself because you do have a considerable amount to still invest in, and you can get private money. So a lot of people would say, "Oh, $100,000 isn't that much to do anything in real estate." No, it's a ton of money. You can do a lot, and depending on where you're looking to invest in, obviously like Vancouver or Toronto, some of these sectors, like the price points are quite high. However, there are other areas, not just in like British Columbia or Ontario, in other provinces like Alberta, of course, and some of the other like middle provinces, Saskatchewan or Manitoba, or if you're going farther east to like Quebec There's definitely areas that you can invest in real estate, and you can pick up properties for, let's say, $100,000 or $200,000. And if you use a portion of that 100,000 that you have as a down payment, and then borrow the rest as either even a private mortgage, or if you can get lending through the bank, then you can use some additional funds to fix the property up and sell it on the other side. So there's a lot of different things you can possibly do, but using that $100,000 in the real estate marketplace and going down the avenue of just trying to figure out a real estate business and different ways that you can kind of implement that money in a way that you can all of a sudden start seeing results on the real estate side is quite exciting. So I'm a little bit biased. Like I said, I would use that 100,000 in real estate. However, I would also use it in a business which is real estate based. So you kind of got both. I'm not in the stock side, so that one area we wouldn't be using the 100 for. All right, let's jump in. We got one last question here, so let's see what this last one's all about.
You've been involved in real estate, construction, and investing for over 20 years. If you were starting over today with no money and no contacts, what would you do first?
Okay, yeah. So I have been in real estate and construction for almost 2 decades, just about over. And what exactly would I do if I was starting all over, if I had no contacts, no nothing? That's a really interesting question. So what I would do is definitely figure out a way to start getting in touch with homeowners. Now it depend if I had capital to deploy or if I didn't. If I didn't, literally, I'd be out there and knocking on doors and just networking with other like real estate agents, mortgage brokers, real estate investors, people that are dealing directly with homeowners that are looking to sell. These homeowners that are looking to sell need their problem solved. So it's a question of how exactly can you solve their problem. And if you're out there knocking on doors, you're talking directly to the homeowner and they're telling you their situation. If they're like, hey, we need to sell this property, or, oh, yeah, we're kind of interested if we get this price point, or maybe we'll sell down the road. We're not too sure. But at the end of the day, everyone's got a price or everyone's got some sort of motivation that's behind it. And whether that motivation is to be, I need to sell right now and get out of this place, or, yeah, maybe I'll sell down the road. One way or another, someone's looking for some sort of exit plan on that house. And if you're out there talking directly to the homeowners, or you're talking to someone that's dealing directly with the homeowner, like, for example, a real estate agent, mortgage brokers, whoever it may be, an insurance person, once you're out there networking and you're letting people know, hey, I'm in real estate, I want to figure out how I can find some homeowners that are looking to sell and how I can get in front of them. So once you kind of start doing that, if I had zero contacts and if I was starting from scratch, that's exactly what I'd be doing. I'd be talking to just two groups of people. One is directly with homeowners, and how you can do that, again, door knocking, cold calling directly to homeowners, seeing who's looking to sell, how you can help them facilitate a sale. And secondly, talking to the people that are directly speaking with homeowners that are looking to sell. Once you start doing that, you're going to start gaining some traction. You're going to start building your network. You're going to start building your lead pipeline. And all of a sudden, next thing you know, you got a bunch of people that are looking to sell, that want some problem solved, that want this, that were looking to sell for X amount of dollars. Now you can start either, start middlemaning some of those deals, start talking to either real estate agents, referring deals out, doing things like that. And now you're active, you're in the game, and you're starting to make some moves happen. So that's kind of what I would do if I was starting all over from scratch, with no contacts, and it'd be exciting, that's for sure. Like, just because, again, from the real estate standpoint, a home is somebody's almost number one asset in most cases. If that's your number one asset, helping somebody with that number one asset, it's a scary situation, right? When someone's either looking to sell the place and they need to get out, or they need some help to like alleviate some stress or whatever it may be, or they've got themselves into some sort of financial jam and they're looking to get out with their house. So that's the great thing about real estate, is you're helping somebody with their number one asset. And when you're dealing with somebody with that type of situation, you can definitely get rewarded financially as well, because the price points on real estate can be quite high. And when you're solving these high level problems, you do get paid a lot more than resolving the smaller level problems. So, the more complicated the problem, the higher the price tag, and the more you get compensated for it. And that's the great thing about being in certain industries. So that's exactly what I would do if I was starting from scratch and getting started back over. So I believe, yeah, that's the last question that we've had for today. So I hope you guys enjoyed this segment. It's all just about answering the questions that you guys have about anything in place in terms of the economy, in terms of real estate, in terms of business, or whatever it may be. We're going to be definitely jumping in and answering a ton of different questions from you guys. So we're going to show you how to submit your question. And again, if you don't want to, there's a bunch of different ways that you can submit your question. You can submit it with audio, video, or you can just send in a text form and we can have somebody read it to us. So it's a great way for us to be able to answer our audience's questions, and for me to understand what you guys are looking for and what you guys want answered. So this is one of the greater segments that we're going to be adding to this exciting podcast, The Great Canadian Comeback. And I want to be talking directly with you Canadians to understand, what questions you may have and how we can kind of help guide you through these times that sometimes it can be kind of confusing, and just trying to understand what's happening in the marketplace. So I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Again, there's going to be a lot more episodes to come, but this was another episode of The Great Canadian Comeback. Thanks for listening to The Great Canadian Comeback. Follow the show for more episodes and check the links in the description for more information. We'll see you next time.